Let's talk about at least 3 terms, and I really think I'm going to give you a bonus 4th vocabulary word about commercial real estate that we don't really use in residential real estate.
This video was sponsored by
Nothing beats being here in person, meeting face to face, and having that energy and that experience live.
What I love about apartments is really the cash flow.
You only have the one building, you only have the one property manager, but yet you have several doors.
I thought you had to have a big bankroll behind you in order to be able to do it. And what I've learned from Whitney and Jason is that that's just not the case.
You can do this, anyone can do this.
It's made me so much more confident as an investor because she's there when I need her for anything.
This is the course designed for ladies just like you to help you move from houses into the lazy lady landlord lifestyle of apartments, which is a lot more money and equals a lot more fun.
All right, let's talk today about 4 new terms that you need to know in commercial real estate that's not very important in residential real estate. And I'm super excited, and my hair's a little bit of a mess because we've actually been out looking at commercial real estate. Yay! In fact, we think it might even be zoned industrial real estate. So I'm a little bit of a hot mess because, hi, I'm Whitney, I buy houses. And occasionally commercial and industrial real estate too. Yay! So the first thing that is going to be huge and that everybody's going to talk about in apartments and multifamily investing, but definitely outside of residential real estate, people aren't going to talk about comps anymore. They're going to talk about the cap rate. The cap rate is what drives everything in commercial real estate. Cap rate, cap rate, cap rate, cap rate, cap rate. Everybody wants to talk about the cap rate. I hate the cap rate. A couple different reasons I hate the cap rate is because in residential real estate, people buy properties in cash all the time. In commercial real estate, you don't really see people paying all cash for properties. And the basis for a cap rate is when you pay all cash. If you're not paying all cash for the property, the cap rate doesn't matter. In fact, I hate what if scenarios because you can play what if all day long. What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And a cap rate says, what if I paid all cash? Then what would my return be? But nobody pays all cash, so why do we all talk about the cap rate? It drives me bonkers. It absolutely drives me bonkers. And I honest to goodness feel like sometimes the guys are showing off with their cap rates and it's a little bit of a pissing contest because it's such a made up figure. And because the cap rate is technically the NOI, which is the net operating income, divided by the purchase price. If it was all in cash. There's too many unknowns there. There's too much going on there for me to get excited about. And the higher the cap rate, the better off you are. I don't know who decided the cap rate was going to be what we were going to get excited about and what we were going to lump everything into when we started talking about commercial real estate. But the cap rate drives me crazy. I don't know. It could change. And let's pull out the manual, Apartment Blitz, the workbook. The cap rate, we've got the definition of the cap rate in here because I go through in lots of details because you are going to come up against people that are going to talk about the cap rate and they're going to brag about their cap rate and they're going to be really excited about their cap rate. So I will actually prepare you in Apartment Blitz to talk educated about the cap rate. But right here, I just want you to know it drives me crazy because it's the income, the net operating income is how we come up with the cap rate. and the income is minus the expenses, but we can't verify the expenses, and the expenses are always fluctuating, so I have a problem with that. The next thing I have a problem with is it takes the expenses out, but it doesn't include the debt service coverage ratio, which is how much we're actually paying the bank for this thing. So you can tell real quickly, the cap rate, and everybody bragging about it, it drives me bonkers because you can see it's a downward spiral to nothing. There's nothing to like actually pin anything on and say, yep, that's a cap rate and that's a good one. But everybody wants to advertise, ooh, this is a 9 cap and this is a 7 cap and I've got a 13 cap. What does that mean? Nothing. It means nothing because it's subject to, one, if we paid all cash, we didn't, you didn't, he didn't. It's also subject to the net operating agreement, which would be if all the expenses were in a perfect world. They're not. Not now, not last year, not next year. And it's also subject to looking at the expenses minus our debt service coverage ratio, which again isn't going to happen. You're going to borrow money from the bank and you're going to have to pay the bank back. I hate the cap rate. If y'all want to talk about something and you want to like have a good competition with somebody, why don't you talk about your cash on cash return? If you're going to put cash out, why don't you talk about, but I'm making this much cash when it comes back? Instead of talking about some made up numbers with some formulas that nobody can keep straight in their head, that they'd have to have like an advanced auditing, forensic auditing degree to even know what in the world you're talking about and if it's the truth. I can't stand the cap rate and I can't stand everybody talking about it. But do your own research. Come to your own conclusion. I would much rather talk about cash on cash return. I'd rather talk about occupancy rates. I'd rather talk about vacancy rates. I'd rather talk about the debt service that I have on this property. I'd rather talk about how much money my private money lenders are making. I'd rather talk about anything and everything than the cap rate. But maybe that's because I actually understand it. And because nobody's paying all cash for commercial real estate. You're getting a lot of owner financing deals out there. You're getting a lot of master lease options. You're getting creative financing deals out there. And you're using bank financing. So since the cap rate is based on all cash and there's like 2 a year happening in all cash, and even then it's not all cash, it's borrowed money from other people. Oh, I hate the cap rate. Okay, I hate it. But you need to just understand that the cap rate is out there and people like it and people want to talk about it. But just so you and I are both clear, those people who want to talk about it and brag about it probably don't know anything else to talk about. They just hear everybody else talking about the cap rate and they think that's what they need to talk about. Terminology number 2 is the OM. And here in Apartment Blitz, we've actually got a copy. We've actually got a copy of a property OM, and that is the offering memorandum. All right, people will talk about the OM. Well, did you get a copy of the OM? What did the broker say in the OM? Did the CCIM send you an OM? Where is the OM on your website? When will you have the OM completed? The OM is basically, well, it's not basically, it stands for offering memorandum, but it's basically a short and sweet little booklet on a property. Okay, so we have a sample OM in the workbook here. This is from a 10-unit multifamily deal that we were looking at buying in Tampa, Florida. And it's got all the big heavy hitters up here. And look, they even did the math to show you a 10% cap rate. And then we go through, we got pictures of the property, we got breakdowns on analysis, cash positions, different measurements of the property, financials. We've got a summary of the annual expenses, the property data, cash flow projections based on what you do with this property, how they broke down the cap rate and how it'll grow. We've got the cash on cash return, different analysis through here, and then how to get in touch with the agent that has it listed. All right. So in residential real estate, a lot of times agents and for sale by owners will put a box out front of the property that says take one. And it's a 1-page summary of the property. Well, in commercial real estate, 1 page won't cover very much. So we bullet down to about 10 pages. It's usually pretty and glossy. Sometimes it's professionally printed. It's the OM. And there's probably not a box out front that says take one. It's probably on the broker or on the CCIM's website, and you have to download it. And you can print it if you want to, but it's just a nice, pretty glimpse of the property. You definitely want to do your own work. You do want to do your own due diligence, which is going to be bonus terminology number 4. You want to do your own research. You want to do all of your own homework on the property. The OM is a pamphlet to get you excited. It's a brochure to get you interested in the property. And it'll give you a roundabout what's going on, but you're going to want to do some in-depth analysis before you actually close on the property. And you may find out through due diligence that it's true. You may find out that some of it was old and that some of it has changed. Not necessarily that the seller lied, but that they forgot to add in these other expenses. The OM is very important, and I encourage everybody and anybody, they're free. They're on brokers' websites. They're on the CCIM's websites. They're probably listed in the MLS. They're all over LoopNet. Go look at a bunch of OMs. They're really fun, and they're very educational, and they're free. Go check it out. See what you can find in an OM. We do give a sample of one in Apartment Blitz. Last terminology that you need to know before you get into a commercial real estate deal, before you get into a multifamily negotiating situation, you need to know about an LOI. The LOI is a letter of intent. The letter of intent is a 1-pager, and it basically says, I want to buy the property, you want to sell the property, I want to buy it for this price, I'm going to put this much down as earnest money, and then there's about 11 highlighted bullet points on the letter of intent that basically says, I want to make sure that it's got a clear title, I want to make sure that all the systems work when we close, I want to make sure that the warranty deed is good to go. After the LOI has been signed, then we'll have 5 or 10 days to prepare and agree upon the purchase and sale contract. In commercial real estate, we don't just go out and write contracts on properties. We go through a letter of intent which says, I have, as the buyer, I am intending on buying your property. These are the bullet points of what I'm expecting to see in the contract, what I would like to close on in the contract, what I'd like to be included, what I'd like to be deleted. It's a 1-page agreement, back and forth, so that hopefully when you go back and forth on the LOI, on the letter of intent, then when you finally decide on it and all parties sign off on it, we can go to the purchase and sale contract and have everything already agreed upon. The purchase and sale contracts can be 15 to 20 pages long, full of real estate jargon, full of attorney terminology, full of old English words that nobody even knows what that means. So the LOI is in regular English, and it's just a quick snapshot of what the deal looks like and what you can expect to see in the contract. And then in the contract, it should be, yep. All right, let's sign it. Instead of trying to negotiate 20 pages of legal stuff. The 4th word that I want to give you is due diligence. All right? Due diligence is after all of this happens. Okay? If we were looking at a scale of 0 to 100, and 0 was nothing, and 100 was you own a new multifamily unit. Okay, so this will be closing, and I guess 0 would just be just the idea of buying an apartment complex is in your head. If we were going to break this down on a scale, I want you to see that you would probably start researching cap rates in your area. And that might take up, let's say, 5% of your time. And this is all very generic, and the scale is not to scale. All right? So you might spend 5% of your time looking around and saying, what's a normal cap rate in my area? Do I want to do better than that, or am I accepting less than that? I don't know why you would accept less than what's normal in your area, but that's, again, people like looking at cap rates. I don't know. But you would decide on a cap rate that you wanted, and then you would probably spend some time, maybe another 5% of your time, looking at OMs that are out in the market in your honey hole. And you would just familiarize yourself with how big of apartment complexes can we buy out here right now? How big of a trailer park can I look at right now? What is available in my county? Where do I have to go 2 counties over to find something that looks like it's been built in the last 20 years? So you'll spend probably just 10% of your time doing some basic research, looking at cap rates, looking at OMs. And then you're gonna spend probably 25% of your time writing LOIs. In fact, when you sign up for Apartment Blitz, I give you a whole package of 50 LOIs so that you can get out there and start writing a lot of LOIs. You gotta get those deals out into the world before we can go to contract. So let's say that's 5, now we're at 10%, so maybe up to 30%. This is gonna be LOIs. So we spent up to 30% of our energy just getting under contract with the LOI. We spend about 5% going under contract, UC, that's 5%. And then we're gonna spend the next 50% in due diligence. So we'll come over here to like the 80 mark. This is all due diligence. Due diligence is when you are looking at the actual title. You're gonna get a title opinion. You're actually looking at, I don't want to miss anything, rent rolls. So I want to see all of the tenants have paid all of the months. That's when we're looking at rent rolls. I want to see a profit and loss. Send me something from your accountant that shows on a monthly basis what the profit and loss was for this unit. I want in your books, baby. We're going to look at the expenses, and did we forget to include trash expense? Did we forget to include a property managed expense because they'd been managing it themselves? I want in those nitty-gritty details during the due diligence. I want to look at the tenant ledger, make sure everybody is who they say they are. I want to look at sales comps. I just want to see what the comps are because it doesn't really matter. Each property is standing up on its own, not based on what the neighbor sold for. I want to read all of your leases. I want to see if you have any estoppel certificates to see if you're kicking anybody out or see if you need to get into anybody else's dirty laundry. I want to look at all the appliances. I want a list of when you bought them and when they're going to die. I want to get inspections, and I don't want just a regular inspection. I want an environmental inspection. I want a ground inspection. I want an air inspection. I want the property inspection. I want the foundation inspection. I want all sorts of inspections during due diligence. I want to look at the personal property. What else comes with this apartment complex? Some apartment complexes have golf carts to tote people around. Some apartment complexes have pools and laundry facilities. Are those washer and dryers rented or are they owned by the complex? We're going to spend 50% of our time going through due diligence, and there's a lot of due diligence to go through. I spent half the book in Apartment Blitz, half of the videos in Apartment Blitz, going through each little thing and showing you what I looked at when I was buying my 3 apartment complexes. You'll actually see my inspections. You'll actually see my title reports. You'll see my leases. You'll see all of it. I have nothing to hide so that you're fully prepared to spend 50% of your time when you're buying your multifamily unit in due diligence. So what do we do for the rest of the time? We actually close. Probably 10% on financing, and then we'll just leave 10% out there for any other kind of hiccup or anything. Financing may even be the last 20% to get us to closing. But definitely realize that it's a totally different booger in multifamily real estate, multifamily units, multi-tenant units, and all of it. I don't think people realize to go from 0 to closing in multifamily takes a lot more energy, effort, and attention than residential real estate. Residential real estate, we pretty much just go buy it. It's cool, it's whatever. There's a lot more to factor in when we talk about big bucks. I know I said I was only gonna give you 3 vocabulary words. I gave you 4, and then I spit out a bunch of others at you. So if you have any questions, please, please, please drop them in the comments down below. I'm here to answer your questions, but also trust me when I say all of your questions get answered in Apartment Blitz. All of your questions get answered in Apartment Blitz. We've got a whole workbook here of straight up answers to give you. Straight up examples to show you so that when you're looking at stuff out on your own, you can say, oh, we're missing that. Ooh, missing that. Ooh, Whitney said to look for that and you didn't give it to me. Go to apartmentblitz.com. I'll send you this. I'll send you some other books. I'll send you the commercial seller lead sheets. I'll send you our quick analysis, because as many times as you're going through OMs and putting out letters of intent, I want to make sure that you're making good offers on good deals and not getting a dud. Nobody wants a dud. So I've got a software, an app, a program. You type in everything that I teach you that you need to get and how to actually analyze it. Make sure you got the real stuff and not what they think might sort of happen 10 years ago. Type it in, and in 5 to 8 minutes, you will know if it's a good deal or not. You will know what the cash on cash return is. You will know what your actual expenses are gonna be. And then there's 3 what if columns. What if I raise the rent? What if I drop the expenses? What if I do both? Then what's my cash on cash return? Then what's my return on investment? How quickly could I pay this thing off? How quickly could I do a 1031 exchange on it? All of those things are answered in Apartment Blitz. It's all on apartmentblitz.com. If you have any questions, let me know. But it's all really there for you. Pre-recorded, ready to rock and roll. I will mail you one of the boxes and you'll be off to the big deals before you even know it. I'll see y'all later. Bye.